You tell me when to go.
We're ready. So welcome everyone. This is Karen Richardson, Executive Director of the Virginia Society for Technology and Education, wishing you a happy Digital Learning Day 2018. We are always excited to partner with the Virginia Department of Education as part of our Digital Learning Day festivities. We have one more live event this evening at 7:30. We will be hanging out with the VSTE Award winners from 2017. And if you haven't been following our Twitter feed and our Flipgrid, you need to go after this is over, of course, but check out the Flipgrid videos. Prince William County gets a special shout out here because they have been busy posting away what they like about digital learning, and they have some of the most fun videos I have seen. So when this is over, head out to Flipgrid. Meanwhile, it is my honor first to say a shout out to Tim Stalmer, who is the VSTE person hosting us in this room here. He is my go-to guy for technology, and I appreciate him being with us. And I'm happy to welcome Bobby Keener, the Chief Technology Innovations Officer from the Department of Education, who's going to give us some updates of what's going on, but also talk to us a little bit about, I think, 21st century learners, I heard. So take it away, Bobby Keener.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Thanks, Tim, as well. And for the folks out there, and happy Digital Learning Day. I'll echo that sentiment. I think that's, in today's world, that's like, something that we need to have. Every day is Digital Learning Day. So it's good that we make sure we push it forward on a particular day so folks will know that. Well, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about some initiatives that we have within the Department of Education that some folks may know about, some folks may not. And then I'm going to dive down into really what it means to be not just a digital learner, but a learner. Because I think sometimes when we talk about the idea of digital learning, we forget that it's still learning. So just kind of kick it off with some things. I wanted to mention like the K through 12 Learning Infrastructure Program. That is a program where we have improved, I believe it's from, my numbers might be slightly off, but they're within 1%, I believe. I think we've gone from 14% in about 2.5 years of students in Virginia meeting the Federal Communications Commission recommended bandwidth requirements to about 75% of the students within the Commonwealth that now meet that in a little over 2 years. We are getting ready to top out over 90% within, I would say, the next 6 to 9 months as well. So we're doing great there. We're the initiatives we've put forward in partnership with some folks are actually being replicated across the nation, and there's other states doing great things as well. But I wanted to mention that. I think that's important because that is how you get the digital curriculum into the classroom. And now we're looking at things like the homework gap. We're looking at, how do you really make the learning mobile, true personalized learning, anywhere learning. So that's a big thing we have going on. And I invite you to K through 12 Learning Infrastructure Program. Take a look on the Department of Education website. Also wanted to mention Go Open Virginia initiative we have. That's an open education resources initiative. I've talked about that before, but what open education resources are, they are free, openly licensed digital resources that you can use. You can put them together with other things. You can, I always like to use a couple of examples. One is if you want to teach parabolas, well, you can write it down on a piece of paper for me. I'm good for that. If you give me a PDF file, something like that, I love just reading in that way. But some other folks may not get it that way. So if you show a basketball player show a video of a basketball player shooting the ball and say, look, that's a parabola. Maybe that video, maybe the basketball, that'll bring them in. Having different resources that are free that you have options to pull from, that's a huge thing. And we're on the front end of that initiative. We've got a lot of great buzz. Hopefully this year we'll get a platform in place to host those resources. And VSTE's done a great job working with us and as a partner in that as well. Excuse me. The other thing that I'd like to talk about real quick is our cybersecurity curriculum. We've launched a couple of pathways for students through our career and technical education portion of our agency to where now folks can go down and they can, honestly become cybersecurity professionals if they complete these career pathways out of high school. We all know if we've listened to a lot of the things, I end up going to, a lot of conferences and whatnot. And every time the governor would arrive, he would say, 22,000 to 32,000, 22,000 in Virginia, 32,000 in the DMV, the Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, jobs available for cybersecurity. So it's really exciting to know that that's out there, that we're really starting to help not just build a pipeline, but it's an exciting field that kids really do enjoy that they're not really aware about as much as possibly they should be. So last thing on kind of the update portion of this that I'll mention is the profile of a Virginia graduate. I can't speak. And what that is, that's kind of the umbrella for everything we're doing in Virginia right now with, not just digital learning, but just learning. Sorry, I'm on my phone and the phone call just came in. But what the profile of a Virginia graduate is that it's the umbrella for all the initiatives that we're doing. And what it really speaks to is that personalized learning model. It speaks to the idea of breaking down these classes that we have, whether it be algebra, English, history, whatever it might be, breaking them down into the pieces and parts where you can learn them and show mastery of this piece, even if you don't get that piece yet. Then you can also take those pieces and parts, put them together. So now you want to learn about a computer science, well, maybe you talk about Napoleon Bonaparte before he did this. He realized if I do that, then that's going to happen. If I do that, though, the other thing's happening. It's funny when you start breaking these things down and you start looking at these subjects, you can blend history with computer science, with math, with English. It all works together if we approach it that way. And that's how the real world works. There's not a day goes by that I don't deal with, writing something down, dealing with numbers, speaking to folks, whatever it may be. And it's good that that our students are also learning in that way. So all that being said, I encourage you to come to the Department of Education website. I encourage you to look at the K-12 Learning Infrastructure Program, the Go Open VA OER program, cybersecurity curriculum that's out there, and of course the big profile of a Virginia graduate initiative that we have. But all that being said, as I said at the beginning, I also want to talk about what does it mean to be a good digital learner and just a good learner in general. Because all these things are great, but if they are not taken in the right way, used in the right way, shared in the right way, then the value that they can have for our students and quite honestly for everyone is not going to be what it should be. So the first thing I want to mention is when you're looking, whether it be learning digitally or otherwise, be open to things. There's a lot of information, especially when we talk about digital learning. I mentioned the OER stuff. You can go out and you can find how to learn about parabolas in about 1,000 different ways if you want to. Everything is like that. If you approach things that way and you go, hey, you know what? There's different ways to learn. There's different opinions out there about how to learn. Find what works for you. Don't be afraid to go out on that limb and try different things. Don't be afraid also to be open to share your opinions about how things work for you to other people, because they will share back and you will learn more that way. And you'll learn that, you don't agree on everything, but people appreciate that honesty. They appreciate that openness. They appreciate that ability to connect with other people, so that now I always call it the thought bubble. Their thought bubble and your thought bubble are overlapping. So now you're getting information, not just that but you're also getting information that they know. It's a great thing. It's a culture building thing that you want to do when you learn. The other thing I will say is, and it goes in conjunction with that, is when you're out there and you're learning this stuff, be a leader. If you see something and you go, man, this is a great material, this is a great way to understand that thing, somebody else might be struggling with it, or you just want to share it, do that. Because helping other folks when you're learning this stuff, because it is new in a lot of ways, it helps you. You'll learn more by teaching others than you will by learning it yourself, because their questions are not your questions, and vice versa. So be a leader and encourage them to be a leader too, on all of this stuff that you're doing. It's a new world that we're approaching, and all these things, when you go out into it, you have to also have flexibility. And what I mean by that is, yes, look at the different resources I mentioned, be a leader, let other people be leaders too, but also make sure that you understand that the world you're going into tomorrow is going to change the day after that and the day after that. That's how fast things move. So don't get caught up in the idea that you have to do things this way and there's no change in it. If you do that, then the world will pass you by. And that's not what anybody wants. If you realize, you know what, my skills are good, my ethics are good, I know how things generally to deal with people. Those are the things that will cross any industry, that will cross any job market. Being able to have the skill set and then being able to apply it in different ways is a critical factor. So when you're looking at all these things, even if it's not necessarily something that you go, that's perfect, you should still learn it. Cybersecurity is a great example. We should all know cybersecurity. We all have stuff out on the internet. We all have stuff in the cloud. We all, our information, whether we put it out there or someone else did, it's out there. We should understand that. We should understand that if it is secure or not. That's just one example of many. The last thing I'll really mention in all of that is that as you're learning all this great stuff, digital learning is bringing it to us in new ways. It's bringing it to us more information. It's really, pushing it on. Well, we're on, exponential growth pattern compared to what we were as far as information that's available now and how we learn. But don't just look at all the data. You're going to be in a position, whether it be in your classroom, whether it be in your workplace, to make decisions or just look at the data. You want to look at the data and you want to make sure you understand it, but you also want to make sure that that you get to a point to where you can make decisions on that. In other words, don't just learn it, learn what you can do with it, and then go after that. And I think that's important even in our classrooms. We have the maker spaces, we have STEM competitions. Those are actually doing it. So make sure that you're not just learning it, but you're actually applying that stuff as well. And that does require you to go out on a limb sometimes. And I think that you learn by going out on that limb. And sometimes it doesn't work out in the way that you expected. But if you learn from that experience, it wasn't, contrary. I'm not a person who uses the word failure as a positive thing. I say you don't fail. You actually just achieved a different goal than what you had initially expected if you learned something from it. So all that being said, I know that I may have taken you on a little bit of a ride here, and that's fine. That's kind of what I wanted to do. I do encourage you to come and look at, I'm going to mention it again, the profile of a Virginia graduate on the Department of Education website. We're doing some great things with that. We've gotten feedback from, industry, K-12, the higher ed, everybody. And that's a great initiative, and it's going to change the face of education in Virginia and in the country. But I do also encourage folks to look out and learn how to be a good learner, not just learn how to find resources, but learn how to be a good learner and learn how to, and part of that is sharing with others and learning from others as well. So, Karen, I know it's short and sweet, but I think that's what I wanted to talk about. Do you have any questions? Hold on.
I'm not sure what's happening. We're having a little bit of.
It looked like it was muted there for a minute, Karen. Can you check your mute?
We're having some technical issues here.
Yeah, I can, Tim.
Your audio came through fine. For some reason, your video wasn't showing correctly. And let me see if I can get Karen back here.
Yeah, I got Karen's video. I have no audio for Karen though.
Yeah,
so
I don't see Karen's audio either.
Yeah, I see it's a mute button on Karen, so she's muted somehow.
Okay. There she is. Okay. I got her. Well, I got her picture back. There she is. Okay.
Oh, there we go, Karen. I think you're back.
And I'm not sure why it says I'm presenting to everyone, but who knows? Anyway, thank you very much. I'm fat. Oh, good. Thank you very much, VSTE Video. That's why Tim is here. So yeah, for some reason I got muted by somebody. But anyway, I love this conversation. And as you talked about it, it occurred to me that the three people in this room are all of a certain age, right? And are doing jobs right now.
That old in some cases.
Right? I just, but none of us, if you had said to us, in 10 years or 20 years, part of your job's going to be like being in Dick Tracy world with meeting with people online and talking about, we would have just sort of laughed. Who knew what was coming down the line? And I think this isn't going to sort of even out in any time soon. It's just going to be one new potential thing after another, and being able to wade through all of it and figure out what's good and what's not and what you can really make use of for yourself I think is so smart. Yeah. It's
you don't want to learn you don't want to learn things and just like be a robot. You want to be you really want to learn how to do things and how to adapt and how to really, because even in today, I'm hoping that the organization we have here is trying to do that, and folks within that are trying to do that on a day-to-day basis. Imagine year to year. That's where we're going. That's where we're at.
Yeah, right, exactly. And just being able to do that, learn to learn. I mean, we can't, schools for teachers, we don't have the resources to train you on every potential piece of software or tool. We can give you an overview, but we really need people who are willing to just click around and help, I'm muted, it doesn't mean I'm going to leave. We're going to work through the issue.
And as somebody that's been around for a while, I think we made some major mistakes back when we taught specifically Word fundamentals or Excel fundamentals, right, instead of teaching the idea of writing as a process using a digital tool. And like I said, we did that for years, and in some cases we're still doing it, because I still see classes out there for using Google Docs, for example. Let's talk about how you organize and run a classroom using Google Docs instead of talking about Google Docs itself.
But that's the hard piece, isn't it, Tim? That's what I hear from my graduate students at University of Richmond is getting kids into a collaborative document. That's really the easy part. Actually teaching them somehow how to collaborate in that document, right? That's the hard part, and that's what teachers need help with too. When do they ever collaborate on a document and given that opportunity, so they see how that works?
Well, and that's what I mean is that we're still trying to teach the mechanics of using the tool rather than teaching the process of what we want them to do. And by the way, this is the tool we're going to use.
And next year it could be something different.
True.
But that's what you were getting to. I mean, the profile of the graduate is somebody who knows how to deal. So, well, perfect. Well, Tim Stallmer, any other comments from you?
No, I'm very interested in the open education resources thing, but I know that's in the early stages. So, keep looking at that.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I think we're gonna. And Karen and I, obviously, we've had conversations on that, and there's a long way to go there, but there is some good buzz out there, and there's still some apprehension as well because it's new and change is hard, but that's one of those things that we want to make sure we do it with all these things. They're not easy. Change is always hard, but if we do it right and we commit to it, and we really have our why behind this, why are we doing this, and it's a good why, to help students learn in better ways and to support the folks that are helping that administer that learning. As long as we keep that and we approach it that way, and we bring a lot of people to the table to help us get there, I think we're going to be all right. That's kind of how I approach things, and that goes back to the collaboration, right? I mean, that's what it is, working together for a good purpose. That's what we all need to strive to do, and I'm telling you, that's how you really learn too. It really is.
Yeah, at EduCon this past January, I hooked up with some people that are involved in OER at the federal level and in a couple of states, and it was a very interesting discussion. Nobody quite knows what they're doing with it yet.
Yeah, we're kind of helping lead a lot of that charge right now in Virginia.
I was going to say Virginia. I think Virginia's further along.
Yeah, that's what I say. We're one of 7 states. We sit on the national board. We are really helping on the national level lead that charge, and we got a long ways to go. So the folks know we're blazing the trail, and that's a good thing. I mean, we're doing it because it's not because it's fun and exciting. It is fun and exciting, but that's not the reason we're doing it, because it's the right thing to do, and it's going to help our students. And that's an awesome reason why to do something.
And that's right. And I think if teachers are concerned, part of it's because they want to make sure they're doing the best for their students, and they need to make sure that the resources are spot on and ready to go. And that takes a lot of time and effort. And I think that's part of the conversation.
And that's a good conversation to have. And that's kind of one of the things I was trying to help. Well, is you do got to listen to other folks, because they're not coming from a bad place. They're just coming from a different place. And, and both be, coming from a good spot. And I think that's hard for folks to understand. sometimes. But it's true, and I think if you have that openness for that, then you'll go a lot further along in this world than if you don't.
Yep, I agree. Well, thank you very much, Bobby Keener. Go have
Thank
a
you.
great rest of the Digital Learning Day. And for anybody who might be watching, we'll be back here at 7:30 tonight with Josh Ajima, Nicole Thomas, and Tim Taylor, our VSTE 2017 award winners, to talk more about technology and all that fun stuff. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.